Hello, hello. There we are. I'm back again, and also recording audio this time. Yes, I didn't record audio first time, so this is the second time I'm doing this. That's okay. I guess I'll have to learn. But I just finished Spellcaster University. It's a cute little game, and it is a game where you can get your magic school, fantasy, Harry Potter age satisfied. You get to build classrooms and different uh, uh, rooms in the magic school in this Spellcaster University, and you have students assigned, and they study at your school, and then they graduate, and you get rewarded based on their performance. That is just the overall thing. You get to make houses, as in House Gryffindor or House Stark, if you have a really killer school. And you get to make their logos, or you choose their logos based on a selection. But I found that it was a quite large and varied selection, so I could also get something of what I wanted. And you assign the colors, and then you can assign different schools to these, or different students to these houses, and that's kind of like how you can control them. So you can say this house can only study these magical disciplines. There's like 5 magic disciplines that they can study, and you want them to, and within each discipline there's 3 skills that they can learn. You can only indirectly control your students. So if you set up a university, a school with a lot of light classrooms, and you build on that, then you will have a lot of students that learn light magic. That's how it works. And the best a student can be is what's called an archmage, which is one that has level 5 in 4 different skills. So since there's only 3 skills per school of magic, they need to study at least 2 different disciplines of magic. And the students do that on their own. As I said, you can't really control them. Most students in the beginning, and a lot of the human students, are there for 3 years, and that's not enough time to be an archmage, but they can do other things. That archmage is really the end goal. But then there are, I guess you call it non-human, inhuman students, like werewolves, vampires, elves, and different things, and they often sign up for up to 7 years. So that means that they can learn a lot, and that's how you do. But since you only earn money and other rewards when a student graduates, you need a bit of capital resource. Your school needs to be self-funding, for 7 years when you take up students for longer. It's quite a neat little system. So yeah, you can only indirectly influence your students by, which rooms of, which classrooms that you build that they can go, and then based on what house you sign them in, you can deny or allow or make them prioritize different things depending on what you want. You can set different goals, saying, I want some students that are really great at dark magic, and then try and influence it in that way. The game is very cute, has a cute little style. The students, when you can see them studying, you're looking at your school kind of like an ant farm, or like Fallout Shelter, I think it was called, games like that. So you view the games from the side, so you get to see the students getting taught and practicing different disciplines. That's quite fun to look at. The game is card-based, which also means that there's a certain element of random to it. So you get dealt a different hand of cards, and that can that's a big part of deciding what rooms you can build. So you shouldn't start out by saying, I want to build a school based only on light and arcane, because maybe you won't get a light room in your first 5 or so hands. It also means that you can't really plan how to build which relations. My neighbor seems awfully happy about something. That's good for them. Is he going to stop anytime soon? Maybe. So you can build the rooms in this, you can't really plan the layout of the room, is what I'm trying to say. The fun thing about this system, because the rooms are based on the cards you draw, the fun thing about it is you quickly get like a weird magic school looking silhouette with offshoot towers and weird things. But so if you have a plan of a big aesthetically pleasing school like I sort of had, you might find this more frustrating than not. That's just how the game is. So you can build like a observatory or a garden that has like a glass roof, and you say, okay, I want this to be in the top. But if you get that first, it can't be at the top. But you will be able to build on top of it with a bit of space in between. So I ended up having an observatory looking straight up into the bottom of another room, but it didn't affect the students' ability to just learn at one thing. So that's good. So it's only you and your aesthetic aspiration that takes a hit. So, and because there is no way of deleting or moving rooms after they're built, that's just how it is. And the game is 3D. Like you can see perspective when you shift the view. Even though you can't rotate the camera, you can of course zoom in and out and stuff, and you can see perspective change. It is in 3D. That meant that for my case, when I had a huge school, because I ended up playing in endless modes where the timing is not a thing, or the timer. Normally you are on a time limit. But because I built huge university and it's all in 3D, performance took a hit. And also because it's 3D, sometimes it's difficult to point at things. Like you can usually put one or two things on the walls in like a classroom to boost the rate of which students learn different discipline or gain friendship with different factions in the kingdom. But because it's 3D, things can get in the way of those spots where you need to place those things. So that was a bit of annoying. But yeah, you are on a timer when you play normal. The story is quite straightforward. There's a big evil overlord that comes and destroys everything. So you only have a set time before he destroys your school, and then you have to build up another school in a different level, and that level will have different aspects. Like some will have richer students, so you make more money when they come in, and some levels will be in the forest, so there's a buff to nature magic. But I didn't like that way, because one thing I don't like to, your school gets scrambled or demolished, and you have to rebuild. I don't really like that rebuilding. I like to keep improving on what's already there. And when you finish a level, you have to select a buff, but also a debuff. I didn't like that as well. Like I would just like constant improvement. Yeah, that's how I am. I also play games on easy. So I didn't like that. So I played it on endless mode, which was fun. And once I was able to like produce 10 archmages per class per year, I thought, hey, I had a good time, and I'm thinking you will too. So there are other factions in the kingdom that you can visit, you can earn buffs and do quest for, including the evil overlord. And you could befriend with him. And the weird thing is, no one else in the kingdom really seems to mind if you have enough buffs that kind of mitigate that. I thought that was weird. If you are in normal mode, if you're friend with the evil overlord that will come and ruin your school, he will just take longer before he comes and ruins your school. So that's your incentive to do that. Seems like the neighbors are done driving around in their cars, or was it a food delivery? I mean, it's almost dinner time anyways. So there's a faction, and there's a dungeon system where you can assign 4 students and you can go on and try and clear a dungeon. It's a bit simple, and you can't really build a student team or a dungeon team because you're a student, and at some point your students graduate, so you don't have access to them anymore. but it was fun, and it is a way to earn cards that you can then build, and cards can be either a buff in the form of a pet or a painting, or it can just be the rooms that you can build. But if the feeling of starting over all the time didn't sit well with me, so I ended up playing in endless modes, which made the game a wee bit dull. I'm not sure that was worthy of applause, but thank you. If you can't hear my neighbors, that's fine, but then my responses will seem weird. It's okay, I'm getting sidetracked. So yeah, because I played on endless, you can keep summing up your buffs, is that what we call it? They keep multiplying or they keep adding up. So at one point, all the challenges are just out the window, and you can run on. The game can practically run itself. But that's when I decided that it was fun, and I had enough. And maybe I'll return to it, and build a school, like instead of saying, okay, I'll play a game of League of Legends, or I'll play a game of solitaire, doing something like doing a puzzle game or something. So I enjoyed it a little bit, and I think you might as well. It was a fun, different little game. So that's all I had to say about Spellcaster University. Thank you for listening.